Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome. It's good evening here on the East Coast of the United States, but wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon. This is another episode of A Woman's Prerogative, and I'm Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK here on USA Global TV and Radio. And hello to our friends at E360 TV. We're glad to have you. So our topic today is what women stop negotiating themselves about. So we're going to dive into this with my co-host who is joining us from a day later and a season later. And she's either in Australia or New Zealand. No, I'm kidding. She's in Australia. Welcome to the program, MARISKA. Nice to have you with us. Hello.
Hello. And yes, I am in Australia.
You're not going back and forth, right? You are in Australia.
Yeah, typically this is where I am residing at the moment. I am not planning on going back and forth, but then again, you never know what life throws at you. So anything is possible. I am not discounting any possibilities.
Well, for our new friends who don't know, you and I have been working together for quite some time, about 6 years, and you were in New Zealand for a long time. And so we were coming together from this country and from that country, but now we're in a different country. So that's fantastic. But Mariska, you help people in so many ways, and we do have new people joining us all the time. Tell people about what it is that you do aside from smile and look pretty and sound intelligent and do this show with me.
Well, what I do when I am not on the show with Dr. Jacalyn and gracing all of you with our presence is I also work with leaders. So whether you are a up and coming leader, maybe you are stepping into leadership, or you are moving up within your leadership space, either space, or even if you are just leading yourself. I work with people within that space to see how we can be the leaders that we want to have in our different environments. And I also love working with people, finding the things that they feel passionate about and the stuff that they want to bring into the world. Typically, this is with leaders where they're working with teams in different environments. And of course, as I said, we also lead ourselves. So if you are wondering what it might be that you are passionate about and you feel like you're a little bit lost, we can always have that conversation too, because then we can discover together what that might look like. And who knows, you might lead yourself in that pursuit, or you might even get a team with you to go in that direction with you. And I know, Dr. Jacalyn, that's one of the things that me and you worked on. And just look at this. You've built a huge team around you.
Well, I couldn't do it without you and with our other team members. It really has been and is an incredible journey. And I feel like our topic today really resonates because so many times, whether it's starting a business, building a business, expanding a business, or if it's something that has to do with our personal life, there are so many times when we actually negotiate with ourselves, where we have this conversation, well, if I do this just once, then blah, blah, blah. And it reminds me from when I was in college and there was a computer science course, if this, then that. So have you ever negotiated with yourself about it being okay to do something just this one time, or for the holiday season, or it's Thanksgiving here in the States. I know you don't have it there, but have you ever had these kind of conversations with yourself? It's like devil, angel, devil, angel.
I think the way that I think about them is those black and white sort of conversations where I can have it either this thing or that thing, right? For some odd reason, they cannot exist at the same time, which I have also found in later life is not always true. There's a lot of times that they can exist at the same time. I just need to work out how that might look. So for me, it is a bit of a negotiation that from time to time might take place when I think, oh, I need to do this or that. Or I can, one of the things that I get a lot with my clients is, well, I need to earn money, right? And I want to do this thing that I'm really passionate about, but I cannot, for some odd reason, the link between doing the thing that they're really passionate about and earning money from doing the thing that they're really passionate about doesn't necessarily link up. It's like, no, they exist in different worlds. They exist in different spaces. So now they're negotiating, well, I will earn money in this place and then do this other thing as a hobby, or whatever the case might be. So they negotiate with themselves in that area. For myself, I know that I have a tendency to, what's the word for it? Now I can only remember the Afrikaans, which is not going to be helpful for most of our audience because you guys don't speak the language.
Tell us anyway, what is it in Afrikaans?
in Afrikaans is staan in my eie pad. So standing in my own way is almost the direct translation of it. So I have a tendency to do that. And sometimes I would negotiate with myself to go, okay, so if I do this one little thing, whatever that little thing might be, then it might be okay. And start the negotiation that way. So I'm sort of moving towards the thing that I want to be doing, but because of the negotiation, it is not taking nearly, it doesn't take traction as well. Right? Because now I'm starting to negotiate and I'm actually getting in my own way in the process of doing that, which I have now discovered after years of doing that to myself. It's fine, wonderful. We found out that this is something that happens. So now I'm guarding against it.
I love that. And by the way, we do have a question from someone. Yes, she is in Australia. I'm in the US and she's in Australia. So thanks for the question. One of the things that's really come to light for me is, and I'm a few years older, is that I'm not willing to negotiate with my health. And I actually wasn't taking it as seriously as I am. Today, as you know, is a milestone birthday. I'm 63. And I think it was last year I really started taking my health to another level because I've always been pretty healthy. But I've decided that I'm not negotiating with behaviors that are incongruent with having good health. And of course, we can only do so much, right? We've heard stories of people who really took care of themselves and then something happened and they're no longer with us. But so for me, I would say health is a big one. What about you?
I think the thing for me, especially one of the things that I'm focusing on this year is I want to say authenticity, but it's not quite that. So it's doing the healing work that I need to do in order to bring my whole self to what it is that I bring. And I know that not everybody has the same type of healing to do, right? And we all go on a different journey for that. Sometimes it shows up in the body and you actually get ill from it because it might be behaviors that we have let go, negotiated with for way too long. And other times it's other things. So for me, it's I am not negotiating around being able to grow and heal myself. I think for me, it is something that is really important. And it doesn't necessarily, in my specific case, show up as a physical ailment. There are some physical things that show up, but most of them aren't necessarily to that degree. For me, there's more of the emotional pieces. So it's not necessarily something that you can see as an, oh, the person has a broken leg. So for me, that is in that sort of realm. And I don't even think about negotiating about that. It's just, yep, this is what I want to do. This is what's going to happen. And this year, this is one of the areas where I am personally focusing. So that's just it. And I'm finding it fascinating how sometimes I can stand in my own way in some areas in life. And other times, just like, you know what? No, this is important and this is what I'm going to do. And then I go and do it. And I don't wonder about it. Yes, it's still difficult. Yes, there's still some of it that might suck, but it's fine. I chose to step into that thing, whatever that thing might be. And I just elbow down, head down, and I do the thing that I said that I want to do. So I'm finding it interesting how when I have made the decision and I don't negotiate, I can just do the thing. Whereas when I haven't really made the decision, or I'm not clear about it, or there's something else going on that I haven't quite figured out yet, then the negotiations start. What have you discovered, Dr. Jacalyn?
Well, congratulations to you. And by the way, we have a new fan here. Thank you so much for being with us, Image-S4H. Pleased to meet you. You're the first English speakers that understand. Well, we're pleased to have you with us. And we do like comments. We can't always get to all the comments, but I see this now, and I just want to thank you. So one thing that I want to share about negotiation is today I went out to celebrate for my birthday. So I went out to lunch to this restaurant. I had made a reservation in advance, and they asked, is there any special reason? And I put birthday, why not? So I was meeting a friend, and when I got there, the hostess brought over this little chalkboard. It said happy birthday, and they put it on the table. And then the server came over and brought champagne, and I said, no, thank you. I don't drink. And then they brought over some kind of little shellfish appetizer, and I can't eat shellfish. I said, no, thank you. And then at the end, they brought over dessert. I said, no, thank you. And the point is that this is the first birthday in the history of my life, except when I was underage, where I did not have any alcohol. There was no Chardonnay. There was nothing. That's the only thing I drank was Chardonnay. And there was no cake. There was no cupcake. There was no dessert. There was nothing because I chose not to. So it wasn't even a negotiation, because before I walked into the restaurant, I already knew that they would probably bring something over. But many people, okay, I don't know who, but many people would start to negotiate with themselves and say, you know what? It is my birthday. They're giving it to me for free. Why not? I'm going to be rude, insult them by saying I'm not going to have it. And I had already said to myself that the bottom line is I'm not interested in it, and I'm not going to do it because it's going to make someone else happy. And in the end, do they really care anyway? As it turns out, my friend actually drank the champagne anyway and had the dessert. So to your point, I think when we're already of the mindset that we're committed to something, we've already stopped negotiating. And it doesn't matter what someone else says to us. I think, and I'd love your opinion as a certified ICF coach, I'd love to know, I've seen where people say they're committed to doing something, but their behavior is not in alignment with that. And then someone talks to them and all of a sudden they've changed their mind. It's like, oh, you know what? That was a stupid idea. I don't know why I started to do it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I think what I have found with the clients that I work with, typically, when we have this little bit of a flip-flop that happens, we aren't clear on exactly why we made the decision that we made. And it's not really around the why, the reason, right? It is getting clarity on the importance of the decision. So the more we are clear on what about that decision is important to us, the easier it is to not negotiate it. Because we know this is the thing that's important, and that's the thing that I want to stick to. And this is the thing that maybe has some leeway to it, and I'm not so worried about that. So that's one of the things that comes up. One of the other elements of it, and Dr. Jacalyn, I think you alluded to it a little bit, was I might get to somebody else and they share their point of view, or I might feel that I want to please somebody else, or there's some emotional attachment that I have to whatever the decision is that I thought I made that I'm not clear about. So as soon as any emotion comes into that realm, and the emotion and the decision isn't in congruence with each other, so they don't really match. So my head and my heart not talking, right? My head said, this is the decision. My heart's going, no, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do something else, right? Or I want to do it some other way. And what I have found is, even though we think, oh yeah, I can think my way out of this, I can reason my way out of this, the heart has a tendency to derail us because it's more in alignment with what our soul actually wants to do, how it wants to be in the world and what it needs. So no matter how well-intended our brain might have been, it's like, yep, okay, I've got this sorted out, I'm not going to worry about it. Your heart, if you have an emotional attachment to it of some sort, it might not work well. So it is always worthwhile to check in what about it is important to you. And it is also very wise to have alignment between your head and your heart to go, okay, so what's the two of them sort of trying to do at the same time? Because I do know, and this is for most human beings, we live in a society where our intellect and reasoning is highly praised, and something that everybody wants to go, yeah, but this is logical, but this is whatever the thing might be. It is a brain thing. It's not necessarily a heart thing. So we have detached our sensing of what's going on in the rest of the body. And because we do that, we get into these flip-floppy situations and we start to negotiate with ourselves. Because my head is saying this is logical, this is the best course of action. But actually, the rest of my system is telling me that it might not be the best course of action for me, or I'm missing something, and I'm not even listening to it. So what happens? Well, I do all sorts of behaviors that's not in congruence with the decision I made, because I was not in congruence with the decision I made. So that's what I've seen. How about you, Dr. Jacalyn? Because I know that you also have quite a few people that you work with.
What I've noticed is that, first of all, if there's something we don't want to do, we start negotiating with ourselves, right? It's called procrastination. Well, I'll get to it. I don't need to do it right now. In fact, maybe I'll put it off until the spring. And a perfect example, people tell me this on a regular basis about cleaning their home, believe it or not. You know, there's a certain part of my home that I know I need to clean and I just keep putting it off. And so what people will also do is, instead of doing what it is they know they need to do, they may choose a completely different course of action, which could be sleeping. People will spend additional hours sleeping. And I don't know if this is at the stage where it's full-blown depression, but they actually are just not willing to put themselves out of their comfort zone. So instead, they just put their head on the pillow, or maybe pull the covers over their sheets, over their head, because they don't want to address whatever it is. And another thing is, and I've seen this a lot of times, I've worked with people who are trying to overcome some kind of, let's say, smoking addiction. And so they'll stop smoking cigarettes, but they start vaping, or they start smoking pot, or they start drinking, or they start doing something else. And so they've never actually gotten to what is at the root cause. And of course, we can talk about addictions, right? Because that's a whole other subject. And I am not a licensed therapist, so I'm going to stay away from that. But in their own minds, from what they tell me, they feel like they picked the lesser of two evils. And that can happen even in business. When we choose a path and it doesn't turn out the way that we want it to, we start justifying it. It was the other person's fault. You know what? They were this. They were like, we start coming up with all kinds of reasons instead of actually looking at what was our role in it. And what would we do differently? And what can we actually take away from the situation? What did we learn? Because there's always something to learn. Thoughts?
Well, especially with the learning, right? And it doesn't matter whether it went wrong, like really badly wrong, or really badly well. Or really well. Not bad.
Really, it's a double well.
Yeah, it's well, or bad. Right? It doesn't matter which side of the coin you have, there's always learning to be had. And I do think that when I think about people procrastinating to the point of sleep, or where they are absolutely avoiding the thing, whatever the thing is, right? We are almost detaching ourselves from the reality of the thing. There's most likely some emotional response that we are not acknowledging. And for most of us, there's something to do with a fear of some sort, not necessarily fear per se, but there might be some protective mechanism that we have developed either earlier on in our life or that we are busy developing, that helps to protect us in this moment in time for whatever the thing is. And it goes back again to the head and the heart, right? Because if we haven't figured out what that is, if we don't know what that underlying thing is, as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, with the addictions, I mean, addiction itself is problematic in the sense that some people have a more addictive type of personality than others. And for them to give up one addiction, it's really difficult. So they have a tendency to replace it with something else. It's like, okay, better of two evils. I'll take that one instead of this one. Instead of really going, okay, I know I have this other problem where I get addicted to things. So what I need to do in that case is potentially look at that and how it works for me and what is driving it, so that I can start to look at that root cause. And our emotions are wonderful things because they try and bookmark things for us. They try and show us things that we don't necessarily always want to see. We don't necessarily always want to interact with. And it's not that your emotions want you to get upset or want you to be sad or want you to be whatever the thing is that's happening. It's more of a, well, this is part of the process. I mean, if you think about it, if the sun is shining outside and you have a lovely, just imagine having a lovely spring day. I don't care where you are on the planet currently, I'm in autumn. But if you have a lovely spring day, right, sun is shining, wonderful day, are you mad at the sun for shining? No. Are you more appreciative for the sun for shining? Maybe, right? But for most of us, in general, we don't really notice it that much. If it now rains and it's been dry for a really long time, and I know coming from a farming background, most farmers will be extremely happy for the rain. Most other people may or may not, depending on how they feel at that moment in time. Does that influence the rain? Does that make the rain upset depending on how we perceive it? It doesn't. It doesn't matter to the rain how we feel. It's just rain, right? That's the same with emotions. It is an emotion. It wants to show you something, and whether you see it or don't see it and how you want to interact with it or not interact with it, that's your choice. The emotion itself is just like, yep, I'm here. And this is what I am. And you can interact with me or not. It's up to you. And of course, the more we rage against it, right, the bigger the emotion becomes, because now we are inflating it. So understanding how these things work, I think, is also very helpful for us to then work through them in order for us not to negotiate with ourselves, because now we have gotten that alignment instead of a misalignment. And I have spoken way too long. Dr. Jacalyn, relieve me of this, please.
No, you made a lot of great points. Thank you for that. I kind of feel like when we are at peace with ourselves, when we actually learn to accept who we are, and if we don't like who we are, we have an option. You know, as every day that we wake up, we get a choice of how we're going to spend our time. And so I really believe when we work on ourselves, then we have more to offer someone else. And of course, as you know, I'm a peace ambassador, and it's all about giving back. And I think part of the reason why sometimes people can come across as being self-absorbed, or even, I don't like to use the word selfish, but they're not selfless, let's say, is because they're lost, or they're living in a place of fear, and they're living in anxiety because they haven't dealt with whatever the issues are. It's almost like we have a show here. We've got a TV show host, Red O'Loughlin, who does 3 shows. And one of his shows is Talking Heads. And he discusses a lot about health. And he talks about the fact that if you don't get to the root cause of whatever it is, you can take as much ibuprofen, you can put Band-Aids, you can do whatever it is. But until you figure out what is it that caused the issue, you haven't resolved it. And it's the same thing. You were talking about emotions. If we find ourselves being emotionally volatile all of the time, what's behind that? Is it something that we need to get assistance with by speaking to a coach or a mentor or a therapist? Or is it something that we can handle ourselves by doing our shadow work, by looking into who we are and the decisions that we've made, or maybe some of the things that have happened to us in our life that we really haven't addressed? I think a lot of those things come into play. And then I think when we bring it all together, the question is, and if I said this to you on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being the optimal, how happy are you, Mariska, in your life at this moment today? How happy are you?
89. I don't
89.
think it will ever, I don't think it will ever be 100. And the only reason for that is because I can always make it better.
I like that.
I'm happy with the 89. 89 feels to me like there's still stuff that I want to improve, and I'm very aware of the things that I want to improve, right? So I'm not there yet, but I'm not miserable either. And there's a book that I read. Oh, can't remember said author of book. But one of the things that they mentioned is, so the word enjoy. So thinking about enjoying ourselves, right? It's an inner joy. And I can choose every day how much inner joy I want to bring. And to me, it's like, okay, well, if I make up my 89 with that inner joy already, I'm working on the other stuff that I need to work on. I'm happy. Right? Nobody else needs to bring anything to me, not even my circumstances, my environment. I can just have joy in myself in this moment, no matter where this moment is, whether it is with you, Dr. Jacalyn, the rest of the people on the show, or whether it is in a couple of moments from now and I am sitting outside, or I might have a conversation with someone else. Doesn't matter. My inner joy I can take everywhere with me. So
that is beautiful. I applaud you for that. That is absolutely fantastic, because it's so important. With many people that I've worked with over the years, even people who are coming into a role of being a new TV show host, there's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of fear about public speaking. And you and I have both been there, right? We know all about that. But once you start to do the work, see what's required, and show up, and be open to the fact that, no, everything's not always going to go well. We're on live television, right? Anything can happen on live TV, and it has happened. And I'm sure more things will happen, but you just roll with it. And so you have a certain level of flexibility in your own life where you say, okay, this is what's happening right now. how will I react? How will I show up? And I think that is the place where there's opportunity for many of us to do some work. Because what I see is, I see overreacting, over explaining, over justifying because of that innate insecurity. Or it could be on the other side, it could be coming from a place of fear or a place of control. I must control the situation. I must control her or him so that everything works out the way that I want it to work out. And that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of work. And I know people who have had that type of mindset and it never really served them very well. And they had to actually do a lot of work. And sometimes the work that we're talking about, the shadow work or working with a coach or mentor or therapist, it can take years, but you've got to put the work in. You can't just show up for a meeting, even if you're paying whatever amount of money. Let's say you're going to go to a therapist, you have to do some work. You can't just go, hey, I'm paying you X number of dollars, wave a wand and make everything go away, right?
That's the thing, right? It is my work. This person is a guide with me on my journey. It's not necessarily their work. So they have their own work that they need to do. And there is this adage around, we typically have a tendency to do the work that we need most ourselves. So there might be some element of it that the person needs to do for themselves. And that's their work, right? They can't take our work from us and go and do it and give it back to us. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. What would I learn if that was the case? How would I change? How would I have the experience that would actually make a difference for me? The only way for me to do that is to do my own work. And sometimes it sucks. It does. It's not always fun.
No,
right?
It's not.
And it's a choice. The thing is, if there's in change management, there's this concept of we will only change if and when the place we are at the moment is worse, or we perceive it as worse than the place that we want to be. So if we still think that, well, it's okay, that's not too bad, right? I won't change. Forget it. No way that I'll change. I need to see the place that I am right now as a more unbeneficial place than where I'm planning to go to, and then I will change. So sometimes we might also see that somebody else need to do whatever the work is that they might need to do. And they might not be in the right place yet, right? It's just that it's not that bad for them yet. They haven't seen how bad it is yet. They have a bigger tolerance potentially than we do. Who knows? But they need to figure that out for themselves first, and then do their own work in order to move to their ideal state. And of course, it is always a lot more fun when we get to our ideal state, with that in-between piece. The learning graph shows us that it's not a straight line. It sort of does that. It's got a little dip, right? And that little dip, yeah, it sucks. So if you are thinking about learning, right, there's a lot of joy in it, and also be prepared. Some of it will suck. And that's part of the process. There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you. It just sucks. It's fine.
It's just part of the way it is. And something I want to add on to that, because I found this myself with my own journey with my health, is that once you get to where it is you want to go, it may not be that exciting. It may be very controlled. It may be very filled with peace. Like, as an example, today, again, my birthday, it's almost over, right? Just a few hours left. The first birthday as an adult where I've not had a cake, any kind of sugar, or any kind of wine or alcohol. And it's kind of interesting to just sit back and look and say, you know what? I don't know how exciting I am. Maybe I'm actually a very dull person, but at the same point, I'm at peace. So it took me a long time to get to where I am. But I'm not for everyone. Not everyone would be like, hey, why don't we go and hang out? Because, I love to talk about business. I love to talk about helping people. And that's not for everyone, right? I'm not interested in gossip. It's interesting at the gym yesterday. There's an area where people can just sit and relax. And there was a group of people, and you have to walk by them to get to the locker room. And I heard them gossiping about people. And oh, is it the woman who was with it? And I'm thinking, I have no interest in this whatsoever. Like you kind of, I'm not judging, but you kind of see behavior that no longer is in alignment with who you are and what you're doing. And so my point is, that doesn't mean that there are fireworks going on and that it's like, wow, this is really exciting. I've arrived. It's kind of like I've arrived at peace. And so there is no drama. But some people miss the drama. Some people love the drama, and so they never actually move forward. Some people love the noise. I know people, many, many, many people, and I have no judgment about this. They are by themselves at home and they have the television on all the time. It's running constantly, or they've got music playing really loudly. And part of the reason is because I've worked with people like this, is they don't want to feel alone. And so I look at that when we stop negotiating with ourselves. Are you really alone, or have you chosen solitude? Because if you choose solitude, to me, that equates to peace. But if you're thinking to yourself, I can't stand being alone in my own skin, that's what it is, right? It's you in your body, in your skin. If you can't stand being by yourself, how do you expect someone else to want to be with you? You have to really be cognizant of who you are and what boundaries you've set and what you're willing to do and what you're willing not to do, as opposed to our topic for today, negotiating with yourself about so many things because you're trying to make things work. You're trying to take that square peg and put it in a round hole. You're trying to be everything to everyone. You're trying to be liked by everyone. You're trying to have so many followers or so many likes or so many this or that, because the thought of you by yourself alone with no one is incomprehensible to most people.
That is so very true. It reminds me of a conversation I had yesterday. And the person jokingly said, it sounds like I live in a monastery. And I told them, well, I don't mind music. I like music, right? I really enjoy music, but I don't want to play music all the time. I actually enjoy silence. It's like when you look up at the sky at night, right? If it wasn't that the whole thing was dark and black, you would not be able to see the stars. You won't. And how can I appreciate the stars if I don't have a black backdrop behind that? And that to me is silence. If I don't have silence, how do I appreciate sound? I can't. If it is so busy in my head and in my environment that there's noise, sound everywhere, right? I can't appreciate it. It's like having a whole blaring light in my eyes all the time. Yeah, now I can't see anything. I'm blind. So that to me it's like we as a society, I almost want to say, have disconnected with how it is just to be in this moment with yourself for just a little bit and having silence, nothing else. Isn't that wonderful? I love doing that.
I do too. It's whatever method, whether it's meditation, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's just sitting somewhere quiet and clearing your mind, it makes such a difference. But when your mind is constantly filled with things, you basically don't have the ability to focus on what it is that you need to bring you happiness. It's another example is, we've all had this in some regard. If you're in a vehicle and there's a vehicle next to you and they've got the music blaring, like you wonder how they can even hear, and there's smoking something in there. You're just like, okay, I want to stay away from this vehicle. I don't have a judgment, but the bottom line is that what is going on in that vehicle is not choosing yourself. It's not choosing yourself. It's choosing external things to fill a void. And I can't say that across the board because I'm not clairvoyant, but I do know from interviewing at least 10,000 people, 10,000 shows, and working with people in a coaching and private advisory capacity. And you know yourself from all the people that you've worked as an ICF certified professional, that there's a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of room for people to embrace peace instead of hatred. Earlier today, I was doing a show and someone put in the message, they put, "You're wearing too much makeup." And I thought to myself, of all the things that you could have written, I just said it was my birthday and they put, "You're wearing too much makeup." And I'm thinking, of all the things that you could have said to me, you stranger whom I don't know, because you're hiding behind whatever it is you're writing, that's what you decided to put. So I just deleted them and blocked them from the channel for good. But my point is, why not come forward with grace and kindness, empathy, and compassion? Because to me, when we're choosing those things, we are no longer negotiating with who we are. We have emotional integrity, emotional intelligence, and we are showing up saying, you know what? There's plenty of room for you and me in this world. I'm here to support you. I'm here to listen. And I'm here to say, you know what? Go after your dreams, as opposed to there's only room for one of us in this town. That's some kind of cartoon. I forget what it was. That's not true. And that comes from an ego, a place of ego-based fear. So we are running out of time. We're actually over time. What would you like to leave our audience with when it comes to embracing the fact that we don't have to negotiate with ourselves? Whatever it is, whatever your gender is, we don't have to negotiate. What are your thoughts that we want to leave the audience with today?
I think first, become aware that you are doing some negotiation. And then whatever it is that you need to do for you to get some alignment between the head and the heart might be helpful in order to stop the negotiation and have that inner peace, because that's really what it is about. It is an inner peace, and we can only have peace in our environment when we have the inner peace. So knowing what that is for you will also help you to stop negotiating with yourself, and most probably having all of these other drama showing up in your life. And of course, as Dr. Jacalyn mentioned, if drama is your thing, well, go nuts. Also make sure that whoever is in your environment, that they are also a fan of drama, because if it's me, I'm out. And then, of course, if you would like to get hold of me, if you are leading your own space, leading yourself or leading others, you are more than welcome to do so via my website. So you can see my website there on the screen. You can find it under Journey, JOURNEY 2, the number 2, discover, DISCOVER.com. On it, there is a little fill out form that you can fill in, or alternatively, you can also email me, which is at Mariska. Mariska is MARISKA at journey2discover.com. Or you can also find me on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is nice and easy. You'll find my profile. And then once you have my profile, you can just write me a direct message. So that one is really, really easy. And there you have my profile and see my smiling face. And that's how you can get hold of me. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you very much, Mariska. It's been an absolute pleasure to share this space with you. And I hope you have a beautiful day and stay warm there in Australia.
I will. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you again next week.
I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone. If you would like to be involved or know more about our programs, we currently have over 60 different programs in our archives on YouTube. So you can go over to our 2 channels, USA Global TV and Radio or Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. On USA Global TV and Radio, we have earned the YouTube Silver Creator Award for over 100,000 subscribers. So if you could subscribe to our channels, yay, we would be so appreciative. And the other thing I want to share is I have a new book that's released today. I'm going to quickly bring up Amazon. I currently have, I think, 28 or 29 books. The new one, this is not the new one, but there are the 2 at the top that are coming out. The new one is in the Lady Ella series. It is Lady Ella and Lord Jack and the Alley Cats of Greece. And I actually wrote this because I was in Greece last summer, and where I was in Serenita, which is very beautiful, you see a lot of alley cats that are in dumpsters and really fighting for food and water. And so this book is all about kindness, compassion, and friendship and empathy. And Lady Ella is representing my great niece, Ella, and Lord Jack is representing my great nephew, whose name is Jack, coincidentally. And then my other 2 books that are coming out, this is a business book. It's coming out in April. Stop Giving Away Your Value, Boundaries, Pricing, and the Business of Respect. You can pre-order this now. And finally, My Tummy Hurts, A Kid's Guide to Belly Aches and Bathroom Troubles. We're going to take a look right now at the movie trailer for this one. And this is also available on pre-order. So stay tuned. And again, thanks for being here. Bye for now. My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, A Kid's Guide to Bellyaches and Bathroom Troubles by Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.